From the morning, I was listening to various speakers who have invested in Telangana, who lived putting up a manufacturing plant. So the topic which I'm going to be talking of is how is the future looking? And what is it that we are seeing from Rockwell? What are all the various thought leaders are seeing in the world? So we believe industrial operations will change more radically in the next 5 years than in the past 20 years or 100 years. It's going to dramatically change, and speaker after speaker have touched upon it. So what is it that is going to make this happen? It's global competitive pressure, which is going to continue to challenge us, and it is going to drive inefficiencies out. Be it companies, be it economies, states, countries, inefficiencies are going to be thrown out. So there's going to be one more problem. That is the workforce skill gap. People talked about it. There's going to be humongous amount of skill gap across the spectrum. If you've read, the talent gap is not just at the worker level. It is there right up to the CEO level. I mean, it's such a problem. Then you have information software related evolution which is coming. Then you have network security. The gentleman just asked that question. So network security, people are getting paranoid about the data, about the validity of information within that plant, how to keep it secure. Then the automation processes. And that is all going to converge in the next 5 years, and phenomenal transformation is going to change. And in Rockwell Automation, we call this connected enterprise. The future is connected enterprise. You can name anything, people can come up with jargons, names, but the future is all about connectivity, having connected plants. So before we go into the actual, some of these slides, data points, macro view. So here is the data which our Senior Vice President, Frank Kolosowicz has said. By 2025, this big data which everybody is talking of will be measured in zettabytes. I don't know how many zeros are there, but he says it's zettabytes. The challenge is not going to be about the amount of data. It's about finding the right data across multiple sources and creating the right association so that the data gets transformed into information, and finally that information is further transformed into wisdom. For various people, according to their hierarchy, they can draw inferences from the data, which is wisdom and decision making. So what is driving? Why we say by 2025 all this is going to change? These are certainties. These are not Rockwell information. These are certainties which we are living in the world today. This is the data which I think McKinsey or such consultant has put out. So by 2025, the global population will be 8 billion. It's going to be past that. And middle class is continuing to grow, and more people will continue to move to cities like Hyderabad from villages. This will lead to what? It's going to create enormous demand for energy, water, food. So what it does to an enterprise, what it does to a manufacturer, it is to make sure that he is able to put together a manufacturing plant which will get stuff out in the market. I was listening to the ITC presentation earlier, the speed with which they want to put a plant for food in Telangana. So we have seen it in reality today. So it's going to be enormous demand on all the parameters, and this is an inevitability. So what is going to happen? If we don't fix some of these fundamental issues, we are going to have phenomenal problems of leveraging. So this is again a data from consultant. This is US and predominantly US data. So the business driver, why the plant of the future has to be connected, why everything has to be connected, data has to be manipulated, data has to be inferred upon. It's because right now only 14% of manufacturers have connected their plants, their machineries. Only 14%. In India it will be much, much lower. They're all islands. So, and to your point, sir, on the security, 21% of the manufacturers have reported loss on intellectual property last year due to breach in security. And Rockwell, a company like Rockwell is working on it. There's lots of things which we are working with customers, because we work with the global biggies who are into food, in drugs. So it's very important that we solve that concern which customers have. And then this enormous amount of data which is getting generated in every plant. Hexabyte and hexabytes of data is getting generated, and nobody has any clue. It's all gone. So we think there's enormous amount of business leverage which can be driven if the data is taken and contextualized. So there's going to be enormous opportunity for manufacturers, investors, owners of plant to have data analytics as part of a key function in their organization. So big data is going to be there, and the cost of downtime, because we believe because the plants are not connected, you're not leveraging the data, and you have all sorts of issues, the unscheduled downtime alone costs about $20 billion. And then there's 3/4 of the plant around, mainly in US, in India it's probably emerging, we have yet to build a lot of plants, but 3/4 of the plants are old. There's lots of old technologies, they have to be upgraded. And there's lots and lots of legacy automation system, $65 billion worth, which needs to be upgraded. In India is a different problem, but so to help our customers, we have come up with this thought process of connected enterprise so that they can achieve their growth objectives. Whether you are a machine builder supplying machines to an end user who is wanting to put a smart manufacturing facility, or you are a manufacturing facility, be it in any field, but you want to have a smarter manufacturing, we can help. The technologies are available today. So it's for creating enormous value for the entire supply chain so that the industrial assets which are there can generate more enterprise value. This tighter integration is extremely important. The secure infrastructure is absolutely critical while we do this. And we will put the whole thing in context as we move forward. So what is industrial Internet of Things? What is, we are talking about a lot of industrial Internet of Things. So this, just to put it in context, we are about 7 billion people in this planet, and there are 50 billion devices which is going to be installed, which are connectable on the internet by 2020, which is about 7 per person on this planet. And these are all going to generate enormous amount of data. And the costs for this sensors and devices are coming down. Today you can get a internet-enabled device for any application for less than $100. And these are going to generate enormous amount of data. So what do we do? Are we leveraging it? That's the question. So that's one piece of the business driver which I wanted to establish as a first step. The next thing, which is very, very real for us in India, is the workforce. The future generation, if you want to attract talent into your shop floor, you are not going to get. And if you want a smart manufacturing facility, if you want really profitable operations, you need to be able to attract smart people. And the smart people are not going to come for dumb factories. They are going to come and work for smart factories. So their expectations are going to be different. Their expectation, the smart kids are working with smart gadgets all around. So these guys, they will come, these Gen Z, millennial, these people will not come and work with any brick and mortar factory. They want to work where a factory is completely connected, secure, with touch screen. That's what they want. If you have a plant like that, there will be no problem for you to attract top-notch talents. So this is one challenge. The second challenge is the experienced workforce. In many plants, they are retiring. People who know intuitively what is going on, they are retiring, and there is a huge talent gap across the board. There are people in plants which I have seen when I was a commissioning engineer 25 years ago, who will know by listening to the bearing, he will know what's the problem. Today, do we have that type of people coming out? No. So they need data, they need prompting, because the kids are growing with that. I mean, any question you ask a kid, they will Google and tell you. They are not going to do any. So this is also another imperative. And what is happening in the real world? We use smartphone for all our practical purposes. The rich and famous, the people who are living in condos, they are using smartphones for controlling home gadgets. People like us bank using smartphones, we book cab, we pay bills. So why we see this absolutely happening in the shop floor now. And there are factories which are starting to adopt this. And we believe that smart factories is an inevitability. So the technology is there, all the building blocks are there. You have smart assets, you have the mobility, the technology is available, information is available with all these devices. You have scalable computing which is already available, you have cloud. You obviously need to have control environment, control system which is reliable, then you need, obviously, the fundamental thing in new future is secure network infrastructure, which is firewalling the external world with your plant, the plant data completely. So all these pieces is already there. We just have to put these pieces together, and we are there already. So I'll just build on that and give you one more scenario. This is not a connected plant where the systems are not integrated. So if a user requires an information, he has to go look for it, create a spreadsheet, collect data, call up few people, make a compelling case out of it. Then by the time the problem has escalated beyond imagination, you know, there is an inspector from FDA or a food inspector sitting and closing down your plant. I mean, I'm just exaggerating, but this is what is the reality today. But imagine if you had a connected plant. It's totally different. The data is integrated, it's available to the user in the form that he can consume efficiently depending upon where he is. So user-based roles will be determined in the network. The security on the network will be configured in such a way that nobody accesses information which is not supposed to. So the shop floor guy will get only those information. The ERP system will give management data. So it just builds on that. So the focus here is, how do we do this? So it's to deliver connected enterprise through an integrated control and information vision. So you have these islands, but so the three pillars, which is basically about having a smart, productive and secure environment, and we can show you how this is done in the. So the building blocks is, you need to make sure that the motor control are smart, the integrated architecture control systems are smart, the visualization softwares are able to correlate, then ultimately to the management reporting system. This is one example I just wanted to touch upon. As you build smart factories, because many of these end users, they are procuring machines from various places. So it's important that as you visualize your smart manufacturing facility, you put in some basic requirements for all the machine builders that I want your machines to be able to connect in this network. I want the machine to be able to spit out information in this way, so on and so forth. Once you establish those basic norms, then it's just a question of building one piece at a time. Some building blocks for you to get an idea. You have at the lowermost level the various intelligent assets, which are switches, relays, and so on and so forth. Then you have PLCs, then you have the network infrastructure for connecting these pieces. Then information aggregation, because you're going to get so much information. So you need software which will aggregate this information, provide the analytics, and finally at the management level, at the COO or VP, he's able to optimize the operation by using all this real-time information, right? So as we build on this argument, one of the other things which you need to be sensitive while you are doing this is you need to make sure that it is not just for 5 years. You need to buy hardware, you need to buy software which are scalable, which are going to be there with you for 20, 30 years. And that's very important. So the ability for companies like us to do this, because we have been doing this for decades. There are people who are using Rockwell hardware here, or perhaps my earlier speaker, Gautam, Siemens hardware. These things survive for 25, 30 years. You don't need to change frequently. So that's also important. So the entire architecture, whatever you are laying out, you need to identify the critical pieces and look at what needs to be of that reliability and which needs to be changed. There are thin client soft notebooks or things that will keep changing, but your core has to be for a long time. So contextualizing, now that you have built all this, you've done various pieces, so now comes right information at the right time for the right person. There's so much which we can do. I don't want to belabor and explain how it is done, but you get the point. I mean, once you connect everything, you get all the data, then few software, smart software engineers with standard software products, platforms, these customization can be done so that the right information is available to the right person at the right time. So just to illustrate few things, I just want to run a small thing for easy navigation. You see how by click of a button, this person able to zoom in, and go into the specifics and go into a particular problem in a pretty fast speed and solve the problem and come out. In a smart, connected enterprise, this is what you will be able to achieve in reality. And the good part on all this is not necessary that you have to start visualizing when you only in a green field. Some of these things can be done in a brown field. In an existing plant, you can put together a strategy on how this can be done. Customers have built plant over 20 years and you want to convert that into smart. There are mechanisms and there are processes, auditable mechanisms by which they can convert a non-connected plant to a connected plant by still holding their IP and security and so on and so forth. So here is probably the answer which you are looking for. So Rockwell works very closely with Cisco in making sure that the infrastructure is secure. The enterprise risks are first heard, what are your parameters, and then the architecture is proposed so that the access is controlled, tampering is absolutely stopped, and then thus protecting valuable content of IP or formula or anything which a customer wants. So building on that, one of the things which you will all be wondering, why is Rockwell talking about it, connected enterprise? It's extremely, the time has come where many of us, I don't know how many of you are from factory shop floor, been in the industrial side. So we are used to the operating technology. We are used to motor, bearing, temperature sensors and all that. That's the operating technology. We know it very well. And there was always a distance for the IT guys. They were all working in air-conditioned environment 25 years ago. Now it's different. But they were people who were managing MIS report and all that. So now this convergence has happened. All along in the past 10-15 minutes, I was establishing this connect, that this convergence has happened right now. IT and OT has converged. And one simple example to illustrate that is Rockwell and Cisco are partners. The switches which goes into Rockwell hardware is made by Cisco, so that it's so secure and it's validated for industrial environment. So you have all this real-time data coming out from sensors, actuators, then the IT guys feeding out information on financial planning, production planning, logistics, HR, and so on and so forth. Both converge. And what happens when that converge? You get big data. So this is the big jargon which everybody keeps talking about. People in the industrial world, we know it. We just never leveraged it, we never used it, we never contextualized it to the maximum possible extent. We did it to a limited extent, but we think the time has come that this convergence has to be leveraged for driving a business. So this is the partnership which we are talking of, and the delivery mechanism which we have either directly or with partners, with system integrators, with machine builders, the whole host of things of integrating the control and information for making a plant smart. So before I close, I just wanted to close with a couple of examples. It's like the classic thing which some of the restaurant owners put up in their restaurant, that the owner of the restaurant eats in the same restaurant. So Rockwell Automation practices what it preaches. So we have done this connected enterprise in our own factory. We have several factories around the world, and we have SAP at the top, standardized SAP, and our own hardware and Cisco network in between. And we have adopted connected enterprise and put together a global connected enterprise platform. By doing this project, as you can see, it's direct shareholder return. I mean, we are all talking about this because we want to return shareholders their money. So the inventory has come down from 120 days to 82 days. The capex avoidance is 30%. Faster time to market for new products. Lead times have reduced. The overall enterprise risks for us has come down. The quality related issues have reduced. The productivity which we can report to the stock market has increased by 4 to 5% per year. So this is just, and anybody wanting to know more about it, there are videos. People can visit our Singapore factory to see how connected enterprise is working in real time. Or there are portals available where we can allow you to log in and see how this whole thing. So this is one inside example, and there is one outside example where we have used And there are, just to remind all of you, there are customers in India who are using our technology for this connected enterprise. The privacy laws and the non-disclosure, we have not signed, we don't have the permission to share those stories. Right here in Telangana, there are 2 examples where people have adopted connected enterprise and drawing enormous rewards for using that. And the director of that company hosted a big party for us here in Hyderabad, showcasing what amount of gain they have, the leverage they have been able to get out of having this connected thing. So this is one pharma life science example. So we think, I just want to close, it's going to help, this is an inevitability, and the world is moving towards this. So it's better that we embrace the thought process of having smarter plants, smarter machines, and leverage the data and make decisions out of it, and thus this return shareholder and also be environmentally friendly and so on and so forth.